Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
There we go. Oh, Riaan, I'm so glad. I'm so happy to see you, man. Goodness.
Yep. Great to see you too. It's been a minute.
You look more like Riaan and more like both your parents, and it's weird.
I know, but then again, I have been called that on a number of occasions.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, weird. It is.
Oh. Oh my goodness. Okay, so
How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm doing very well. There are ups and there are downs, but I am happy and living my life, the life that I was destined to live, I believe.
Beautiful. Let me just
So everybody, this is Riaan Abdoll, big brother by a week. He's only a week older than I am.
You have often been reminded of that 1 week.
Yeah. And what I always find fascinating is that we were in the same class from grade 1 to grade 12.
Correct. From first day of school all the way to the last day.
My word, can you believe it? So, but it's true. Our knowing each other, it has been possible because our mothers are best friends and have been best friends for, is it 100? Is it 150?
I think it's more than that by now. It's more than that.
Yeah. In years of love, it's definitely.
It goes all the way back to creation. I think the same. There's something there.
What do you think has made our moms stay friends for all these years?
Look, I would be. It would be remiss of me to not say that it's. I think it's the wonderful offspring that they've had. You know, I can't say. I can't say children, I can't say kids, because I often have to remind my mom of the fact that I'm no longer a child. I will remain her son, but it's been a while since I've been her child. So, like I said, I think it's the fact that they've had wonderful offspring that's just, cemented that bond, kept that bond as tight as possible over many, many years. No, but in all seriousness, though, when I reflect on that, my mom often tells me the story. So I think both of our parents have had interesting roads growing up. And my mom would often remind me of the fact that, growing up, she always prayed to the Lord for a friend, right? And then she highlights the fact that God in his goodness not only provided one friend, but provided two. Yes. So, and Auntie Martha, and therefore we have the three bears, And I love the fact that they've accepted each other. I think, and then shared experiences, right? Accepted each other for who they are, and recognizing that it is a bond, that the one, it's like an ecosystem. The one can't exist without the other. There's such a deep connection, and the fact that they can laugh at one another. I mean, the story of when they went to the waterfront that day. You heard that story, right? Yeah, I'll try and share it with the rest of the folks. So being able to laugh at one another and your foolishness, I think, those are the kind of things that build friendship and cement friendship over years. Taking life in your stride, not taking it too seriously, but having friends that are there to go through it with you, no matter what.
Yeah. I find that is just such an example of acceptance.
Yeah.
Because they truly accept each other. They can describe each other, because they've accepted, who the other is. And I find that in so many of the fickle interactions we have these days, and I mean, the times that we are living in allow for like loose interactions, these kinds of ones always stand out, like the friendship that our moms and Auntie Martha have, and I feel like it's automatically given us a head start as to how we interact with the world. I feel like it's given us an awesome head start.
Because, and again, I think it's a function of nurture versus nature, right? So you often have that debate around nurture versus nature. So in terms of nurturing, we grew up in an environment where that was the norm. I mean, we spent a lot of time in each other's homes, right? So just kind of seeing that, and I don't ever recall, bear me out if I'm wrong, but I don't ever recall them being angry or having an argument amongst them.
No, they would just like have it out right there. Nee, Kathy, and
and just kind of like then move on. Like I said, I mean, we spent a lot of time in each other's homes. I don't ever recall leaving your home and it being there's an atmosphere of dissent because there's been an argy-bargy. Never, in our 23 years of being on this planet.
Thank you. I'll pay you afterwards.
And I receive payments via PayPal and just FYI.
So Riaan, for the benefit of those watching, Riaan is at the moment Riaan is in Nigeria, in Lagos, if I'm not mistaken. And the path here has been one of the, I don't want to say weird again, one of the most unexpected things. I mean, you studied pharmacology. You're a pharmacist.
Yeah.
What the heck are you doing in marketing and sales?
So yeah, I mean, so there's an interesting story. I was standing in my final year. I think I had 6 months to go. And I was standing in the registration queue, and I was about 4 or 5 people from the window where you've got to go and pay and you've got to complete your registration. And I looked at my friend who was with me and I said to her, "I'm done. I can't do this. I can't see myself doing this for the rest of my life. I'm done. I'm out." And I literally, I turned around. It was 4 people from the front of the queue, and then just was, and she literally grabbed me and said, "Are you dumb? Are you stupid?" I told her what my response was. It's not really for public. But the long and short of it was, I realized that that's not my voice. That's not what I wanted to do. I needed to find something else. And funnily enough, this friend that I was with, we had been doing a holiday job together. And of all things, we were selling vacuum cleaners.
Are you serious?
Vacuum cleaners. So this is I'm going to give up age away. This is 1994. This is 1995. This is end of 1994, beginning 1995. So we're selling vacuum cleaners at that point at 5,000 Rand a vacuum cleaner, right? So
what do these vacuum cleaners do? I mean, do they like? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it does whatever you tell it to do at that kind of price. Yeah. So anyway, so we did this thing and we sold 18 vacuum cleaners in 6 weeks, 7 weeks. So we were averaging 4 a week. And suddenly I realized that I'd found my voice in doing this. And it wasn't so much about convincing people. It was more about just kind of finding my purpose, finding that voice that goes, interacting with other people and kind of seeing that pleasure and enjoyment and kind of being able to present something to them and convincing them coercing them, so taking them on this journey to get to the ultimate yes. And that just resonated. That resonated with me in such a strong way that it's decided, okay, that's what I want to do. The issue around self-validation, the more I think about it, again, coming back to our shared experience, this issue around self-validation, I often think about the fact that when we went to high school, we went to Heidelberg 85, I think it was, a lot of people looked at us as being privileged, right?
Oh, yes.
However, being in the trenches, it was, I speak for myself, it was not a position of privilege. If
Absolutely
anything,
not.
completely out of your comfort zone, and you're having to sell the fact that you're different. Because this is 1985, this is state of emergency. I think within a couple of months of us starting school, there was this national state of emergency. So, for us being in that situation, it was a very different experience from what people saw from the outside, in. So you're looking at that process of then developing as an adolescent. Now also being able to sell the fact that you're different and having to give your difference a voice, a persona, credibility, in the, I don't want to say in the hope of being accepted, but kind of in the hope of being accepted. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You know what it
Yes.
is, what that journey was like. So again, looking at our shared experience, it was an issue of this self-validation and what selling had done for me, and business development had done for me, is to give that a voice and kind of go, okay, I this is something I do really, really well. This is something that just comes naturally to me. I have to work at it, but this I find fulfillment and joy and purpose out of this. So yeah, that's kind of like the journey to get
Wow.
to sales. I don't know if that story of 85 Heidelberg resonates with you. What are your views on it?
Totally, totally. I mean, I remember it was like living in two worlds, when we were staying in boarding school, when I would go home on a Friday, I would still have residual accent, and then I come and I'm like at church, they're like, what?
Jay Kapal.
Sinjay. So I quickly started like adapting my accent. In fact, my Friday afternoon train ride home was an unraveling or an unleashing of my colored accent so that I could fit in again at home,
Yeah.
And I also remember those trips where we on a Monday morning where we used to go to school in civvies, because that was the time of the high school the boycotts,
Yeah.
And so we couldn't be known to be going to school. So we'd go in civvies and then start the first period of class in civvies, I mean, how more of a standout, obvious thing that was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, that was the first year. That was in a couple of months of getting to school. So, and the other thing I find also from that, and I guess this hopefully relates to other people, is I think we all have a desire to be accepted, right? And what that experience was for me, I don't know if it was the same for you, was like almost not being accepted in either world, and therefore then having to correct, and then having to dig deep within yourself to kind of go, where is that voice? Where is that me, that kind of, irrespective of where I'm at. So whether I'm in Lagos, whether I'm in New York, whether I'm in London, it doesn't matter. And that's like a really important, I found a really important life lesson when I look back.
Wow, it's so nice to hear somebody say these words, because I always like felt very alone in my experience. Although, I mean, that was just a factor of what I was dealing with or not dealing with. But I also felt that throughout. And I mean, nobody was nasty. It's not like I was treated badly. I can't find a reason to say, no, it wasn't, this wasn't right. I loved it. My music was taken to another level. I was given an opportunity to lead. I could do drama and all these things. But the cost was quite high. And it almost forced a maturity out of us, that maybe I wouldn't have had if I had stayed in the comfort of where I thought I even wanted to be,
100%. 100%.
So another thing about those times, I was just thinking now, when you were speaking about us being in each other's homes and stuff, there was a time when heritage singers came to your house. Oh, yeah, Kathy was an element.
In the element, yeah, absolutely. It's like, yeah, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Everybody get along. And it was like a banquet hall, like everyone was there.
In the house.
Yeah.
And I remember us washing the dishes. Oh, and the high school choir also came to when I think we sang at Belleville or somewhere, and then we also all came to your house. That was a good year. There were 2 or 3 very good years of high school choir.
1988. So yeah, I think 88, 87. Sorry, yes. 87, 88, 89 were good years.
Yeah. And I remember washing the dishes with everyone else, and your mom says, now we do mass production now with the spoons. You just wiggle them in the water, just. And the other thing I must just mention to you in public, so that, everybody gets to see the expression on your face, is that we used to model.
That was also part of that voice. I think that's where the voice first found its roots. Yeah, okay. That was a long time ago.
Yes, yes, it was a long time ago. I'm very proud.
It's child exploitation, really was what that was.
Yeah, for the
They
clothes
made
that they made, yeah.
yeah.
Well, at least we didn't have to make the clothes, we just got to wear them and people got to say, oh, cute. So
Yeah.
I also was very interested. There was a time um, we were done with school already and stuff, and you were quite adept at public speaking. Obviously, this is part of who you are. You're able to put across the message. And I know I roped you in once or twice with emceeing for a concert and so on. Like, how does public speaking relate to a sales context?
I'm going to make a confession.
Mm.
I'm a massive introvert. So public speaking is a mask.
I believe you. I believe you because I relate.
Totally. It's literally a mask you put on. I remember doing an MC gig one night, and for some strange reason, the house lights were left on. I walked on stage and I froze.
Mm.
I literally I had to quickly run a routine into my head and just ask the stagehand to turn off the house lights. Because getting on stage with the house lights being off, you're talking to yourself.
Yes.
You're hearing the response, you're feeling an energy from the audience. But effectively, because you're not seeing anyone, you're there by yourself, like you're talking to a mirror. So
yes.
So public speaking for a long time. I mean, you remember we were in school together all the time. I sucked at Mondeling. Was it called Mondeling?
Mondeling, yes.
What's the English word for Mondeling?
Oral.
That one. Oral's a lot shorter and simpler. I'm a Mondeling. I used to suck at that in the early years of high school. But again, that became a way of digging deep. That became a way of going, you know what? This will not define me. This will not hinder me. What do I need to do to overcome this? And then through different routines, and then also just practicing and feeling confident, feeling comfortable, then getting into this public speaking. And then when one looks at sales, I often say to my staff, and I have done over the years, when you're doing a pitch, or when you're selling something, whatever it is, whether it's a concept, whether it's a physical product, think of it as a performance. Think of it as a journey. You've got to take this audience on a journey. It's like you're the director of this movie, and you're effectively in control. There are things that are going to happen that kind of twist the plot and so forth, but you're the director of this movie. And sales, in many respects, I find, is something like that. And again, I go back to growing up and being fortunate enough that during school holidays, every school holiday, we would either go to the Baxter or the Nico Milan or something like that, which I think engendered that love for theatre, that love for performance, that love for storytelling. And that then translated for me in a commercial sense into sales, business development, and whatever else.
Wow. You're just mentioning like all the right things, man, because that now people will know I'm not lying. Our moms used to take us to the Nico, I used to sit there mesmerized.
Every school holiday.
Yeah, and we did all the important, these were cultural things. So it was the Nico, it was the parade.
Yes.
Parare, which was my least favorite. Ek is 'n parare mensie. But I would sit in the Nico, and it was kids theater, so there would maybe be like some dressed up thingy, what do you call it, in a costume, interacting with the kids. I wasn't even worried about the interaction. I was looking at, okay, so who's the main one? Are they going to sing? What's the story? What's coming next?
Twist. Yeah.
Exactly. These things all started something in me, and I'm really grateful to our parents for that. And also, the one thing I remember with our moms was, if the one is doing something, the other one is also doing it. So macrame.
Everybody was doing macrame. Yeah.
Lord,
I still have a macrame jumper.
You jumper.
Why do you think I don't go home for Christmas anymore?
So it's just like, you know, our parents really, especially our moms, gave, you know, they knew that somewhere in the arts there's going to be something that's going to resonate with these kids. They just felt it, you know, and I love that.
And like I said, I think, you know, we're from that standpoint, we're extremely fortunate. We've been extremely fortunate
Mhm.
because it gave us exposure on a different level at a really young age, right?
Mhm.
So, and I think looking at both of our paths, it's undoubtedly had a meaningful impact on what we've chosen to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. I remember a train ride to Simonstown, which was always a thing. And I remember
Yeah.
this one time the conductor came around and he was talking to everybody, you know, and I think my mom, your mom, and Auntie Martha were sitting in the one side, and the kids, all of us, were sitting in the other side. And I don't know what we told Brent to say, and Brent's response, I will never forget. No, man, stop it. You're making me nervous. These
Yeah,
are
I really remember that.
these are childhood memories that now have such significance when I think about them, you know. The other thing that I find significant is the way you look after your parents. You know, you really are a good big brother that way. You're a good example to me, to everyone, you know, that knows you. You don't stay in the same city as your parents. You haven't done for many years now, but you still that the eldest, their firstborn, looking after them, making sure that they're taken care of, that everything is together, you know. So your folks are in Kimberley, your sister's in the UK, you're in Nigeria. What's that like? And what's it like living in Nigeria?
So Nigeria is a wonderful place. It really is. You know, I've lived here for 8 years now. For me, the best thing, yeah, I got here 2012. It's 8.5 years now. I got
Hmm.
here June 2012. The best thing for me about Lagos is I met my wife in Lagos, right?
Ah.
And yeah, that was, you know, we both look at it as divine intervention because she's from the UK. I'm from South Africa, but that too.
Mm.
But like I said, you know, looking at that and kind of going, well, what are the chances? What are the chances? And literally from the moment we met, there was, it's difficult to explain, but from the moment we met, it was, good Lord, this is the person I need to be with.
Mm,
And
mm.
it literally was like that, like a click of the fingers, like a spark. So for me, that's the best thing that has resulted in me coming to Nigeria and coming to Lagos. I also have two great stepsons, 17, and 12. So I skipped the nappy stage and went straight to adolescence.
Good luck to you.
Never that easy, right? Easy is for children. So the other thing about Lagos is the fact that it definitely expanded my horizons. I
Mm,
remember being on the plane coming up to Lagos. Unfortunately, I'd been to Lagos before when this opportunity arrived, or when this opportunity came about. I was like, okay, I want to go back because I'm just
mm.
fascinated by this. And I remember sitting on the plane in my prep before coming up, going, okay, here's my 3-month plan. We're going to be doing this, we're going to be doing that. And I realized very, very quickly within the first 2 weeks of being here that I needed to shut up and listen.
Mm.
Because, you know, as South Africans, we tend to have a certain outlook and a certain view of the world. And the minute you go outside of the country, like literally 10 meters across the border in any direction, it's a very, very different world. So again, doing the uneasy thing, going into this new horizon, expanding the way of looking things, and then dealing with the challenges of being in Lagos. So you've got massive challenges. You've got inconsistent power. You're lucky if you get 4 hours of power a day. So everything runs.
What?
You run on 4 hours. So everything runs on generator. It's massive overpopulation. It's a city of around 20 to 22 million people,
Mm-hmm.
built in an infrastructure that was designed for maybe 3. So you can just imagine what
Wow.
traffic and everything else is like. There's literally no public services. Everything that you buy is effectively imported.
Mm.
Um, especially, in terms of the kind of food that we eat. So, everything is important. So the cost of living is really high. But the other great thing about being in Nigeria is, again, expanding my circle of influence and circle of exposure. So I've been really fortunate to know and be friends with some very interesting and powerful people within the country. So, I was having a conversation with someone earlier this week, and I needed to see someone very important within government, and it was literally 2 phone calls, and I was able to speak to the PA of this person and have a meeting set up for next week. So
Excuse me.
so it's really interesting, when you look at things from that perspective. Again, breaking out of that comfort zone, going into this new environment, and like I said, embracing the different for being different. Has been wonderful. It has been absolutely wonderful.
Wow, that's. I think that we need to hear more from people who are doing things like this. Who are taking, the path, the road less traveled, as it were. And it's just amazing to hear how much you actually do know about where you're at. You're not just sitting in an office making millions in front of a screen. You're actually living a life and interacting with people around.
And I think that's what it's about, right? I think that's part of our purpose as human beings is that interaction. It's that sharing the goodness that you have within you with those around you, irrespective of how big or small or impactful it is. Like it's Maya Angelou that said, people will forget what you say, but they will never forget how you make them feel.
Yes.
That's the truism, right?
Yeah. And I mean, just tapping into that, I cannot help but notice that's a golf bag behind you, right? Lord, please
Yeah,
let it be a golf bag. It
it
is.
is a golf.
Oh,
It is.
okay. So I just wanted to say hi, Sevi, kyk Riaan se golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, I mean, besides the fact that golf fits the profile, it does represent that you are living in Lagos. You're not just there for a sort of a singular kind of mindset.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
the other
awesome.
thing, sorry, just to add to that, the other thing which is interesting is, so because of the kids' schooling, we relocated the family to the UK. So my wife and the boys are in the UK, and I'm here. And the plan was kind of 4 or 5 weeks here, and then a week in the UK. COVID obviously turned those plans on its head, which then again just reiterates the fact that you got to live, you've got to survive, you've got to cope in rather challenging circumstances, and therefore, if you don't think of it as home, you just end up being miserable. You're the only one that suffers, because guess what? Life goes on out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. I take long to get to those points, but I do get there eventually, so I will suffer for a long time. And
it's not a race. See, that's the important thing. It's not a race.
Love it.
It's like you say, there are 2 important days in your life: the day that you were born, and the day you realize why you were born.
Wow. I was going to ask you if you have something to say to people, young people who are looking, who are trying to figure out what they are, or who they are. And now you've just led with such a powerful, a powerful example. What would you say?
I've recently started doing some work and research around a philosophy called Stoicism. And the Stoics it's based on ancient Greek and Roman philosophy, right? Which talks about, and one of the key premises of Stoicism is the obstacle is the way. Right? So Stoicism is built on 4 virtues. It's wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. Those are the 4 virtues of Stoicism. At the core of all of this is the obstacle is the way. Don't think of this obstacle as something that hinders you. There is an opportunity for you within the obstacle for you to grow. Wow. And that for me really, really resonated in terms of this thinking around Stoicism. So if anything for young folk, if anything for like anyone, think of your own experience. Your obstacle has led you into doing what you're doing right now. Right?
Absolutely.
So one has to embrace it. One has to realize that in many respects, what stands in your way is your way.
Oh, Rihanna, it's just awesome. Wow.
There's one quote, and I'm gonna have to read it though, because I don't remember it off by heart. But there's one quote that I came about in this whole stoic journey that I'm on, and it goes, remember today that you are not defined by your past mistakes. Never be held back by your circumstances. You will be defined by the choices you make now, the good you do today. Your past no longer is against you. You are no longer that person. You have grown.
Wow. Now that was for me. I don't know about people searching, young people trying to find themselves and their path in life, but that was for me. Thank you. Wow. When did you become so wise?
I don't know. I wouldn't call it wise. Gray. Yeah. We thank God for his wisdom. Yeah.
Oh, Rian. Yes, we do thank him for his wisdom. It's just, I can't believe the time is gone, but it's just been so awesome speaking to you. In look, we spoke a week or so, 2 weeks ago, on the
Yeah.
phone, well, a phone call, but this is just getting to see that Rian again, that Rian who takes everything in, who processes everything, and who always finds the path of joy, just always. And I know it's not always like that, but as you say, the obstacle is the way, I'm going to remember that. So, to everyone, this is my older brother, older by a week. And next year, he will turn a very big age a week before me.
Yeah, I feel that burden. I feel that angst.
Oh my goodness. But thank you so much, Rian. I really
Thank you
appreciate
for
this.
the opportunity. And may God be with you on your journey, right? Because I think like I said, it's not a race. It's in its early stages. It's part of that metamorphosis of just the butterfly hasn't even really sprung its wings or taken flight, right? So yeah, thank you for the opportunity to share. I hope it was worthwhile, and God bless you on your journeys. Gives you strength, gives you wisdom, gives you the courage to continue on this path, no matter the obstacle.
Thank you, Rian. Thanks so much. We'll talk again soon. Okay.
Perfect. God bless.